It's business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time.
All right, we are here at episode 2 of season 2 of It's Business Time, and we are joined this week by Chris Malinowski of the Collingwood. Thank you, Chris, so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to give a real quick shout out to Chancery Market for hosting this space here. They are a great venue right here in downtown Wilmington, international food court, patio, all that good stuff. But Chris, you know, I've known you kind of through the scene for a number of years now.
And the social media scene.
And the social medias, yup. And really anyone who has the amount of kind of like content, and you do filmmaking, you do music. Of course, you know, by doing both of those, you're part of like the theater community, part of the music community. Mm-hmm. So it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And when I was kind of looking through your catalog, you sent me this great email with a lot of different stuff you've worked on. I didn't have as much time as I wanted to go through it, but I'll tell you the film. What was the feature film?
The feature film that I made is Yes, Your Tide is Cold and Dark, Sir.
Yes,
it's a drama.
It's cold and dark, sir. Well, what I watched, I got halfway through because I didn't have quite enough time. I'm going to finish it, but incredible film.
You would like
I mean, really. No. And even the intro, and you know, I grew up, you know, loving like Kubrick stuff, loving like people who take their time on shots. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like now we're in this world where it's like, I don't want to get into this whole thing, but I did some kids films and all that back in the day.
Sure.
And it's like shot to shot to shot to shot, and it's like 3 seconds per shot. And so I love the way you were patient, you let these scenes develop, things like that. Really, you know, for someone in that space, I appreciate that personally.
Thank you. I think a lot of people think it's glacially paced, which is fine for me. Like that's what I want. I like a slow burn. Mm-hmm. And actually most of the filmmakers and films that I like have that quality about them. Yeah. They're about relationships, troubled relationships, and you really need to feel the essence of people and the space, you know, in a scene. And filmmakers these days, very rarely, at least American filmmakers, don't allow it.
Yeah.
But I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a filmmaker on not too long ago, Michael Haspeen, young guy, out of UAD. I think he's now at Temple.
Okay.
But as I was watching your film, I was like, I gotta say, I sent him a message saying, I got a film you gotta check out when I'm allowed to share it.
All right, that's great. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, but I respected the, you know, this is
absolutely
download for now.
It streams on Amazon Prime, but
yeah. So I want to get into the music, I want to get into filmmaking, I want to get into all that stuff, but with people like you who have so many ventures going on, you know, I do want to get a little bit of a foundation, understanding like where do you get pointed in this direction? Like what was some of your earlier influences? What got you headed in this? Because, you know, it can't just be, you know, the excitement, you know.
It started with my father owned a music store on Kirkwood Highway, Mal's Music, from 1970 something to the early 2000s.
Wow.
So I started as a young musician. Like I started teaching guitar when I was about 11 years old. And it's what I do as a job for the most part. I also teach English at Del Tech.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate to be able to do that. And I learned there. I had a series of bands. Freak Show, which was a heavy metal band, and The Absurd, which was a goth band at the University of Delaware.
Okay, yeah.
But during that time period, I transferred to film school in Ithaca, New York, because I really wanted to get into film production, and there was nothing in Delaware. There's still really no film production schooling in Delaware, not in the same way that there is in Ithaca, New York, or in Los Angeles.
Right.
So I went there because I really wanted to shoot on film, like 16 millimeter film. Transferred there, did internship work in Los Angeles, came home. A lot of my friends stayed and worked in the industry. I didn't want to work in the industry. I wanted to be able to write and direct my own films in kind of practical locations where I grew up. So I moved back to Delaware and just, you know, I had made a 16 millimeter film called Alms, you say, and that was pretty much out of pocket. It was a 33-minute film, shot in Lewis, Delaware, Landenberg, Pennsylvania, and that was probably, it was like a $30,000 film, 33 minutes long. And then per that, I still played in bands at the time. I formed the Collingwood around that time as well. Showed it to a family friend, and he, after we met a couple of times, his name is Alan Burkhart. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant entrepreneur. He owned Klondike Kate's. He started Placers, the temp agency.
That name sounded familiar.
Yeah, Chris, his son, still carries on the Placers name, CBI Group.
Yeah. We used to play at Klondike Kate's back in 2008.
Oh my God!
You know, when I was at UAD,
Very different now. But
very different.
Actually, musicians played there at one time. I can't believe it. But yeah, he gave me $150,000 to make Yes, Your Tide is Cold and Dark, Sir, and I had about 6 months of prep and just cast and crewed, mostly from out of state, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, New York. And we lived in Lewis, Delaware for 30 days.
Wow.
And I know, we shot for 26, 27 days. And we had catering on set from Party Time Catering at the Verdon Center, and it was wonderful to be able to be there and to be able to spend that much time at the beach. But the first 2 weeks of shooting were great. Last 2 weeks were very difficult. We had overnights, and but the film streams on Amazon. If you love Lewis and Rehoboth, it's a great film to remind you of that. With the eerier, the darker side of those regions.
Is
what I would say.
We definitely have a good amount of people who enjoy the beaches all summer. So so a lot of that was shot in that area.
It was shot in that area. We shot from mid-November to mid-December, and then editing and post-production took about a full year. My editor, Colby Bartine, is really prolific. He lives in Brooklyn now, but he would leave to work on other sets. As a second AD, but he would edit with me. He would come back and work with me for a couple of months, and then post-production sound was done at Philly Post. I got to work with John Baker. I was there for like 9 days, which was awesome. But still, it was just, again, financing. And luckily, Alan Burkhart was nice enough to give me all of the financing that I needed to finish this. I didn't have to keep going and looking for other people to pay for it. But the film did well on the festival circuit, and again, it streams on Amazon Prime, and it's a kind of a darker, surrealist drama, is what I would say. And during that time, I formed the band, the Collingwood, which is a minor key rock band, original rock band, and we have a number of releases. And
nice. Before we jump into that, I want to make sure, so they can find it on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, you can find Yes, Your Tide is Cold and Dark, Sir.
All right. Yes, Your Tide is Cold and Dark, Sir.
If you love Lewis and you love Rehoboth, and you're always wondering what the seething storyline is beneath those sidewalks and beaches.
Oh, I like that. I definitely have some people I can send that to too. People who have been reporting on or playing in those areas for most of their lives. You know? So that's very, very cool. And before we get to the music, one more time, you said the first 2 weeks went smooth. The last 2 weeks, not so much. A little bit of this series is about those who haven't done the types of things that you've done, and maybe we can, with these conversations, help them avoid some of the pitfalls that make these types of ventures difficult by learning from you. What were some of the things that happened that made it difficult, and how did you guys get through that?
I would say that probably location-wise, some of the locations, because they were closed for the year, like I had to go down aforehand and meet with the town councils of Lewis and Rehoboth numerous times. So everything was planned. They knew what they were looking at. Lewis, Delaware actually withheld hanging up their Christmas lights for 2 weeks because I didn't want Christmas lights in the film. But there were times when we would arrive at restaurants that were closed for the winter, and there was the crew had to make a set out of them because everything was packed up. So that was problematic. It's not that big of a problem. Every once in a while, a crew member would go rogue because we would shoot 6 days on, 1 day off, 6 days on, 1 day off, and people would come to me asking for more money because Alan Burkhart, who produced this film, was an absentee producer, which is great. It's kind of what you want. You don't want someone like hounding you about. You have an assistant director who does that, and that was Chris Black who did that, which was good. You know, it was a little tension, but I deserved it. The other situation was when the paychecks started to roll, because we had a payroll company, a lot of the crew was used to working under the table. So when they saw taxes being taken out, like there was a stand, so we were shooting on the beach. We had an overnight in Cape Henlopen. And that night, those nights cost us, I think, almost $1,000 a night to shoot on that. They were the most expensive shooting days. Yeah. They stopped working. And I had to go talk to them to get them to work again. And they did, like after a while, but it just, I never even considered that. They had to sign forms before they started working for us, but that was tough.
Yeah. What was it like? You gave like a beautiful inspirational speech, or promised like a bonus? Like what was the tool that you used to kind of?
I think it was
get them back.
How did I do it? I think I offered them some of their tax money back for the first paycheck.
Okay.
Only the first paycheck. I think they got 4 out of it because they were there for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that is when Alan Burkhart, who financed the film, said, "Don't ever do anything like that again." And he was right about it. He said, "Or I'm out." And that was the beginning of the second 2 weeks, or the hardest 2 weeks. And we were like sometimes coasting on like 4 hours of sleep. The cool thing was we were fed, we were given places to stay. We had almost everyone had their own room at the Verdon Center, which is the University of Delaware housing. So
I appreciate you going into that a little bit, because it's never a straight line, right?
Never.
From your goal to the finish line, and I do like one of the things that kind of struck me. So I'm in my 40s now. I just came back into music, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this series is because I thought, when I was starting small business, I wish I had someone, a good mentor. When I was in music, I wish I had a good all this stuff. So I do appreciate you drilling down on that, because that is a pretty common situation, right? Is the tech group, they want a little more money, and they know they kind of got the project, for lack of a better word, by the scruff, the short hairs, and I mean that's one of those things. I mean, particularly to like the younger crowd, a lot of their support or their techs are their friends.
And
they're unpaid. And they're doing it for resumes. They're doing it for this. So it's like there's always kind of the carrot and the stick when you're trying to do art. And as artists, it's no fun to use the stick. It's no fun. But at the end of the day, when you're 80-90% done, that last 10%, I mean, boy, you're willing to use anything. How many carrots? How many still?
What do I have to do?
But so I do appreciate you sharing some of the difficult stuff, because that's often things too that people don't talk about in their promo reel. Hey, we got this great video coming out. It was really hard to do the last 2 weeks of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But I do talk about it because. The great thing was I had 6 months of pre-production.
Right.
So the script was written, and then I started to crew at that point. And Chris Black, who was hired on as and my friend Bob Stewart from upstate New York, I think in New York, shot the film, and he was actually in the film. I was in the film also. But Chris Black was, I was living on his father's property in Landenberg. And Chris had worked on my first film, Alms You Say, moved out to Los Angeles and worked on a number of shows and films, and came back home to be the assistant director on this film. And Chris really gave me lessons in filmmaking, because I had been out of it for a while. I graduated from film school and such, and hadn't made a film with this scope. There were 17 crew in this film. There were 56 cast, and we had 25 locations to shoot on. Like, it was huge. It was gigantic.
And having experience, coming into that, there's a saying we say here a lot: you never want to be the smartest guy in a room.
And I wasn't. I was definitely not. And the crew members were outstanding. Actually, one of the people who shoots my the music videos for the Collingwood, Ian Mosley Duffy, he came from that film set. He was the first assistant camera person, and Colby Bartine was an assistant director, second assistant on that, and he ended up editing Yes, Your Tide is Cold and Dark Star. And again, like, I learned so much from him. Without these guys, I would have drowned. We still work together to this day, and we're making a new film together in May of next year. So
that's great. That's great. And see, what a beautiful segue. I'm glad we pulled back for a minute,
because
into the award-winning music video for the Collingwood.
Yeah.
So this is your band. You were starting to go off, and again, I hate interrupting people when they're starting to describe passion projects and things like that. But at the same time, you know, I was like, I saw a little gem here with the film that I had to run back and grab before we move forward. But yes, tell us a little bit more about your band, about the music video. You know, that whole experience, like, you know, where the Collingwood started, things like that.
Yeah, the Collingwood started, when I got back from film school, I worked for Amazon.com for a while, and I was starting to miss writing music and playing in a band. So there are so many iterations of this band, but I'm just going to go to the current one. We have a number of albums out on Spotify and Apple Music and such, but our latest album is You Lust or You Rust. So I began the band in the late 90s. We've had several guitar players, several drummers, several bassists. We also had a bassist who died, unfortunately, Eric Bolin. Yeah, who would play with me when I was in a band called Freak Show. But the new lineup is me, Chris Malinowski, guitar and vocals, James Pennington on guitar, Jimmy Davis on bass, and John Paul Travis on drums. And when the pandemic hit, some of our older members had quit the band. So I didn't have anything going on. We can talk about an aborted film that I was supposed to make in Delaware for $750,000.
Oh my goodness.
Called The Last Time I Saw You Blessed, that kind of went kaput when the pandemic hit for various reasons. I lost financing, I wouldn't give up Final Cut, all kinds of stuff. But it would have been the most.
That feels like a whole podcast on its own.
Oh my God, it was heartbreaking. But anyway, so sitting around, I had very little to do, and one of my guitar students, Jules Corridori, I always talked to her about singing on a song that I was going to record. And the Collingwood wasn't recording at that time, so I was sitting in my backyard and I wrote this song called Confetti, called her in to sing. So it was just me and Rich Dagnars, who does most of our recording and engineering for our music. I don't know if you know him or not.
Yeah,
He's
I know
also
the name.
a drum instructor, great drummer.
We recorded this song called Confetti. I put the Collingwood's name on it, even though it was just me and Jim at that time when we weren't rehearsing because we weren't around each other. And then when we could rehearse again and play again, I decided I wanted to make a music video. Called up my friend Ian Mosley Duffy, who shot, was working on Yes, Your Tide, and Colby Bartine, who edits for me. And we shot the film in Fair Hill, Maryland, or we shot that video, Fair Hill, Maryland, and Newark, Delaware. Did well, played the festival circuit, made a follow-up video called Jouissance, which has to do with witchcraft, and it was a much bigger cast. Yeah. But that film, or that video, ended up winning the Montreal Independent Film Festival. Oh, wow. Yeah, and that's how I got the interview in the Toronto Film Magazine. I don't know if you saw that, but if you, I'm going to have you back after I've had a chance to go through the whole catalog, because, it's, very, very storied career here. I love it. Where can they find the Collingwood and music videos, things like that? Is there a website or the YouTube, or what's the preferred? I would say if you go to Linktree /the Collingwood, linktree.com/the Collingwood, you can find all of our music videos there. I prefer you watch them on Vimeo instead of YouTube, because YouTube crushes the blacks and it just doesn't look all that great. The music can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, like I said, all major streaming platforms. And then I was going to point out also that our most current video, All Velvet, won the Stockholm City Film Festival for Best Music Video. Wow. Yeah, also. Yeah. And then it's playing October 5th at the Philly Unnamed Film Festival. And we actually had two of our videos at the Newport Beach Film Festival over the past 2 consecutive years. So we've done well with these music videos. Yeah. I love that. So the Linktree, I'm going to put right up here. It's also going to be down there in the bio. Linktree.com/the Collingwood. Make sure to check that out. Now, we're running short on time here. You've got so much to talk about. There's so much going on. Yeah, there is. We'll definitely have to do a follow-up. Real quick before we go, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever heard of Jodorowsky's Dune? It is... Oh, Hodorowski. Hodorowski. Yeah, thank you. Hodorowski. I say it the way that it's spelled in my head. But Hodorowski's Dune, you have seen that. I have not seen it. No, I saw his Santa Sangra, and I think I've seen Holy Mountain and El Topo by him. I love Hodorowski. Well, Hodorowski's Dune, thank you for the pronunciation. No, this is why you have film people on, so I could be wrong. Help me. Who knows? But it's a documentary about how he was going to make
I've heard
Dune
about this.
before the Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm a huge Dune fan. I read all the books. I was so excited for them to make a proper Dune. But that movie, you described the $750,000 budget that got killed by COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would love that movie because it is just crazy how big that could have been.
Yeah.
But he refused to do a 3-hour or a 2-hour movie. He wanted 9 hours. He refused to the director refused to compromise. He had a score by Pink Floyd. He had, all, and they cut up the film. They sold like the Harkonnen stuff to the Alien franchise. They sold all their models to the Star Wars, Space Odyssey 2001. They basically took this potentially legendary film and chopped it all up and sold it all around Hollywood. It's a very, it's a tumultuous watch, but I think you'd love it. But anyway, you have I feel like we could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Chancery needs this space here in a moment, so I do want to make sure that they have all the time they need to get the next event ready. And I like to keep these digestible, right around 20, 25 minutes. But Chris Malinowski, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The Collingwood, all the films, I want to make sure, is there one place they can go to get all, kind of your resume and find this? Is that the Linktree?
You could go on. I would go on Linktree to find Linktree / The Collingwood. Just a couple of things. Can I plug something? Real
Absolutely, please.
October 10th, the Collingwood will be at Elkton Music Hall. October 18th, the Collingwood will be at Argilla Brewing. October 19th will be at Captain Blue Hen Comics.
Okay.
I'll have another screening date locally for Yes, Your Tide is Cold and Dark, Sir, where I'll come and do a Q&A. I did one at Theater N last year. Mm-hmm. The other thing I wanted to talk about was next May in Newark, Delaware, and Landenberg, Pennsylvania, and upstate New York in Ithaca, we'll begin production on our next feature, Daniel LeFleur. Yeah, so there you go.
I love it. Well, obviously, keep your eye on Chris. He is, really, I don't know where you find the time.
I don't.
I love it.
I would like to have the money.
Yeah, and I'll probably see you at Argilla, too. I love that spot.
Yeah, is it Argilla? I always said Pete is probably going to punch me in the stomach for saying Argilla.
Yeah, Argilla. Either way, it's good music, good pizza.
Oh, he's awesome. I love Pete, and that shopping center is where my father's music store was in the 70s.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was behind a barber shop. Anyway,
we have too much here, but
way too much.
Speaking of your father's music store, on 202, was that one across from the Rita's Water Ice?
No, my dad's was behind a barbershop in Meadowood Shopping Center.
Oh, Meadowood, okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was a really rogue store, but he had it, like my father was a very unusual man.
Okay, gotcha, because there was a chance that I bought my first guitar there. I've been to that.
Was it Accent? Did you go to Accent?
It was either Accent, but I know I've been to Mouse.
Okay.
It was like 99, 2000.
Okay.
But yeah, it wasn't the first guitar purchase. But anyway, it's Delaware's so small.
It's so small.
It's incredible how we can all kind of know each other and still not really know each other. And then we find out that our dads were best friends, or like our girlfriends or wives or sisters. There's so many things that crisscross in Delaware. That's what I love about it, and that's what I love about this series too. Is it's there's so many nooks and crannies of this city that's so fun to explore, and you are definitely one of them, sir. Chris Malinowski. Thank you so much for coming through. It's business time. Yeah. I want to thank Chancery Market again for having us. That's episode 2. Appreciate you for coming through, Chris.
Thank you.
Make sure to check out and support his ventures, and we will see you guys next time on It's Business Time. Thanks.
It's business.